Hello, Core 3 topic students. This is Marcos, and I'm sending you off with a video on the recap of our first week of class. And want to make sure everyone's got a good sense of what they should be doing and what's due next week and how to access everything for the assignments that are upcoming. But first, I just want to say we had a great first week. It was good to meet you all and to be in class together and to start off the fall. If anyone has any questions in general about the class, let me know. I'm going to be making a short video here to recap what's due overall and what everyone needs to be working on. And I'm going to continue a longer version of this for those few of you who missed the first class or weren't able to hear on Zoom when I was trying to broadcast it. But for this week, we had a overall conversation about the class, but when it came down to it, we've got two things that are due, and the first thing is the first week of our topics lecture videos. Those are the 7 series of topics we'll be looking at the first 7 weeks of class, and we're going to have an exercise. We're going to watch 3 videos, and then there will be an exercise due by Tuesday. And then the second thing is our first part 1, or maybe even part 0 of Project Rebrand, where we'll be making on Tuesday the selection of the brands each of you will be reimagining. And to do that, I want everyone to pick out 4 options. So a little more details. For the first 8 weeks of the semester, we're going to work on both of these projects. A project is going to include creating the step-by-step process, or going through the step-by-step process to understand the branding, how branding happens and the steps needed for that. And by doing each step, we'll actually be creating an overall rebrand of a well-known existing organization or company. And that's going to be the kind of main part of our class in the first 8 weeks. And what I want to do is be able to do what we're seeing here as an upgrade to an existing brand. And for the first assignment, I want everyone to let me skip ahead here, to put together 4 options of brands that are well known, like big global brands that have organizations, not just products, not like a one-off kind of product that's in the store, but more overall like a bigger brand that represents a service or a product line or product lines in general. And these are actually 4 good examples. And if you feel like you need to steal one of them, feel free to steal one of them. But what I want you to do is put together a page like this digitally and upload it to the Google Drive by Tuesday, and have your 4 options ready to review and talk about. After that, we should be working on our lecture series, which is the first subject matter, which is form and content, and to watch the 3 videos that are uploaded to the Vimeo page that you can find on Canvas. Or if you haven't found Canvas yet, I sent everybody an email last night with a Word document that has these links on them, and each of the 3 links will bring you to these videos. And once you've watched all 3 of them, then there'll be an exercise. The full exercise I emailed to you as another Word document, but it's also on Canvas once you guys are all uploaded to Canvas. I understand that's still kind of in progress, but we've created a page in Mural, which you see here, and I'll need each of you to sign up for the free membership of Mural if you haven't already, so you can get access to this, so you're able to literally go in and put your responses to the exercises in your area. And that there's instructions up here, as well as 4 different samples of past, or more than 4, I guess. It's 4 samples of past entries by students in previous classes. So make sure you do that by Tuesday and have the videos ready to go, and be prepared to discuss your entry in class on Tuesday. Okay, so basically that's what is due: the branding process part 1, and cross-topic videos, form and content, and the exercise. So make sure you're planning your time wisely, you're watching those 3 videos, you're creating the exercise for form and content and posting it on Mural, and that you're making your 4 options for what might be a brand worth redesigning. If you have any questions on that, let me know, email me or send me a Slack. And for Slack, if you haven't yet responded, please get on the page and be part of the community, as I'll be sending out information on Slack often, and that might be a more immediate way to connect with each other. Okay, so if you don't have any more questions, then you can go off to enjoy the rest of your weekend. But if you were one of the few that missed the first class, I'm going to go ahead and kind of do a fast version of that. But to the rest of you, you can take off now. Or if you want to hear about it again, feel free to stick around. So for the first class, we basically discussed, I did an introduction of myself and kind of brought to light a little bit about what I do outside of being a teacher. And I am a committed, experienced teacher with on my 13th year at Parsons. I'm not a full-time teacher, I'm a part-time faculty member, and I teach a class every semester, collabs this semester, and I'll be teaching Core 3 this semester, and collab in the spring, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But in my full-time job, I am a design practice owner. I have a company called Toda, and Toda is a multidisciplinary design firm, and we are committed to creating ideas that inspire in various mediums within communication design, whether it's branding or packaging or digital or print, or anything in between, exhibit design, space design. We have done a lot of work in various methodologies. And to do that, it's meant having a practice that involves collaborative work style, and having worked with many different kinds of amazing professionals with different specialties, and managing those specialties into comprehensive projects that we do for our clients, providing solutions that are in a more 360 way in terms of communication solutions. And to do that, it just means having like an inspired environment to be in, and having the kind of spaces and the kind of fellowship with other designers that allow for that kind of creativity to flow. And we're so grateful, or we're so privileged to be in such a unique and special industry, and for you guys to be in school for this. I can tell you, as someone who's been doing this for many years, a little longer than you've been alive, that it's a great career. It can be challenging and difficult, and that same scary feeling you get when you're starting a project and you don't know what you're going to do, that for me has never gone away, but that's kind of part of the thrill of it. Always having to kind of be under pressure to come up with something great and to solve a problem in a unique but effective way. So doing that means building a practice of your own someday, and having the ability to create your own space and create your own teams. And we don't have control over everything, but to try to get the kind of clients you want to get, and try to do the kind of work you want to do, and also to try to make the kind of money you want to make. If you want to work for big companies and make big money, you can do that. If you want to work for small companies and make a little bit of money while doing a little more good, if you want to do work for free in a pro bono way to help needed organizations or causes, you can do that. Or like I do, you can mix up all those and get the best of all those worlds. So for me, it's been about creating a lot of different kinds of projects, creating new brands, right down to like working on what do you call the brand, and how does the brand speak with not only visual language, but communication through the text and the way it presents itself. And this is a line called MOP, a professional line of men's or women's grooming products, but men's too. And also working on branding through advertising, and doing it in kind of a global, national way. This is a campaign we did for a Swedish brand that's very popular in Sweden, but was really unknown here in the US. And they asked us to work with them and their agency to try to translate the success of the campaigns that they've been doing there and bring more of a brand awareness to the US market. And what I really like is like working with smaller companies, like this family-owned company called Shaw Family Archives. And these were the descendants of this photographer you can see here behind this lens, named Sam Shaw, who was a great American photographer in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. And he shot the famous picture of Marilyn Monroe with her dress flying up. And they asked me to create, me and my team to create a brand for their organization to help promote the photography of Sam, and also to help make money through getting royalty deals, and also help promote exhibits and different events that they would have as an organization, creating their brand identity and their website and their promotional materials. I've done a lot of work in the men's professional grooming industry, including this little brand that I worked with Wall, which is a professional clipper company. You know, the clippers that are electric, and they invented the clipper back in 1919, and have been very successful as a key tool for barbers. And this company wanted to expand the idea of what a tool for barbers are and bring them outside of just the electronic razor to being a styling tool. And so we worked with them to create a brand called 1919 at their 100th year, and create a line of professional high-end grooming products for barbers to apply to men in barbershops across the world. Also working for a lot of big organizations, including one of the main clients I've had is Johnson & Johnson. And Johnson & Johnson not only owns the, No More Tears baby shampoo or Band-Aid, but they have lots of different kinds of brands, all within kind of the health and personal care, including big brands like Listerine. This is a project we did, kind of experimenting with how to reposition them through their packaging, or working fully on Rogaine to reimagine and reposition them as a proactive, positive tool towards fighting hair loss, as opposed to like previously where it was like a defensive, not a winning look. And instead we wanted to make it like this is a brand that will produce results little by little as the package shows, going up to the top. And then also working on brands like OB, which is more of a global brand in feminine hygiene products, and reimagining their packaging to suit their progressive-minded women. And then another very satisfying thing about the work I do is being able to help communities locally and being able to do good with design. And that usually means donating my time, or sometimes taking a little fee, but doing that happily, because giving back is super important. And this is a project we did for a local community here down by the river by the Manhattan Bridge on the Manhattan side. And we had a hurricane here about 10 years ago, Hurricane Sandy, not Sally. And it kind of devastated lots of New York, but in that community specifically, the big supermarket was put out of business, not quite destroyed, but like done in. And they had a sort of a little bit of an emergency with like, where would their residents get food in the local area? And they came up with this idea of the neighborhood association to create a network of small businesses that band together under this identity. And we named it Neighbor Food, and created this sort of guide and brand that assured residents of the idea that food would still be sold just in the smaller stores, and kind of connecting different ethnic communities together in different kinds of stores, and making this guide so that it became an opportunity for small businesses to thrive now that the big superstore was not dominating everything. And one of my bigger projects, over my course of my career, was working with this company called American Crew. I met this barber in the 90s, in the mid 90s, who had a barbershop in Chicago, but realized that in that time, there were no men's brands, and there were only unisex attitude towards salons, and barbershops were like a thing of the past back then, and they were like old and dusty that your grandpa would go to, and they weren't as cool as they are now. And this guy decided that creating a new brand with these traditional values of apothecary, and creating a brand that not only provided quality professional men's grooming products, but also had an education point of view and would create hairstyles and then teach barbers and stylists how to cut men's hair and how to apply the products and how to sell the products to the men. So American Crew was born, and I worked with them at the very start with just a small team from this brand that's now a big global brand, working with the founder, filling up these little bottles with syrup so they look the right kind of color, amber, and creating this line of initially 8 products that then now has grown to 50 some products all over the world. But in the launch, kind of really having a sensibility that barbers were artists and they were visual people, and that photography was a key aspect of how to communicate to this client of barbers. First, we would communicate to barbers and salon owners as our main client, and then secondarily, the men they served would be almost the second tier client, because we were trying to sell to the professional haircut person. So creating a beautiful coffee table book out of this hard book board that's stamped, blind embossed, and filled with photography and their products showcased in this book, and a big poster, and then just really focusing on beautiful aesthetics in the photography and the black and white and the way that we present a classic American feel, this has been around for a long time now, but back then this was a big breakthrough. And utilizing and taking advantage of these spaces all over the world. We had our brand in these small little barber spaces, and that sense of community really fostered the idea, before we had the internet in everyone's hands, of creating publications and magazines like Men's Work magazine that would be sitting in the waiting area of shops everywhere, and really just taking advantage of the fact that we had a captive audience, whether in the lobby or actually in the chair, and talking to both professionals and to regular male consumers. And just through the years, working with them to make big global campaigns like getting the rights to the Elvis imagery and making him our sort of official brand ambassador for a year, and creating a Groom Like the King campaign, and doing these special limited edition jar lid puck, we call them pucks, for the styling products, these special edition using photography of Elvis, and making these great pieces for the salon overall. And just doing, every year doing a different idea. This is an Americana idea, celebrating the American road trip and the sort of couple driving across the country, or taking that further and creating a brand collaboration with another great American brand called Harley Davidson motorcycles, and creating an extensive campaign that utilized both the idea of the rider, the motorcycle rider, and men's grooming, connecting the two, celebrating their 25th year recently, a few years ago, by creating lots of different products, a book, and just overall showcasing the work that we've done for 25 years. And so that's my main client right now. But now I've also been doing work, not just for clients, but trying to also be a client myself, and working with my brother to create this brand called DIRT, which stands for Deep Enhancement of Reader Technology, DERT. And we're advocate for literacy. In specific, we try to raise money for early childhood literacy. I learned as a father, when I have 4 daughters, and as I was working with a agency, and learned that reading to somebody, like my little niece here, or my friend's daughter here, like reading and getting books in people's hands, in children's hands before, from age 0 to before even school starts, is not just a good idea. It's actually vital in the learning process for every child. And if you don't read to a child, if you don't bring books to them and interact with them on a regular basis, any child will be significantly behind when they start school if they don't get that kind of attention and dynamic with books and reading and storytelling and interacting. And that to me was like just set off alarm bells. I didn't know that. I just thought reading to my kids was just a good idea. I didn't think it was like vital that school doesn't start on the first day of school. It starts at home. And so advocating for the idea of reading together, creating books that actually teach families to read, the importance of reading, and creating books that are like essential to to learning the literacy, like the number book and the letter book that we created. But mostly what's exciting about this brand is that I've used it as part of my academic teaching practice, and have my collabs class in the spring called Design for Literacy. Sign up if you're interested in working further with me. But basically, I work with students to create the content of these books, to reimagine classic stories into fairy tales or folklore, or even to create original stories kind of based on the idea of like what kind of stories will help kids learn how to navigate life better, based on a foundation of the kind of traditional stories of various cultures. So had been doing this for many years and have a growing library, literally a growing library of books that we've created that showcase the idea of books like Little Red Riding Hood here up in the corner, except with a more empowering modern twist where Red, as we call her, is proactive to solving the problem of dealing with that wolf, or doing a simple book like Goldilocks and keeping kind of pure to the story, but making the character maybe a little bit different than what you would expect, to be a more inclusive and celebrating stories that we don't really hear that often, like Native American stories. This is a Cherokee legend that's based on how fire was discovered. And lots and lots of other things. Three Little Pigs, love that cover. Also doing older books for older kids, short stories from different classic artists, classic writers. And we even delved into like creating the very first books, baby books, baby board books, that kind of those hard books. And a big part of the class is about students being able to create these books and then being able to get reviewed and present to this final meeting that we have, where not only are there design professionals, but there's kids and moms and different kinds of people giving feedback on with live readings and everything, to be able to really see how your book that you designed, how it the kind of feedback you get or the responses you get with the book. So it's just great class. So sign up and put our books on our website and showcase our designers as like important contributors to the work that comes together in this on behalf of raising money for early childhood literacy. Okay, so we met everybody in the class, and then we talked about the fact that we're continuing this model of working synchronously and asynchronously, and that we will have occasionally, like the first hour of class, we had everybody meet together, and that might happen again. And we're all going to have obviously a lot of all class sessions, 17 of us. And then in those all class sessions, we might break up into small groups, either all together break up or coming in at different times. And then we'll also have individual meetings, one-on-one sessions between you and I. And asynchronously, we're going to have the recorded lectures the first 7 weeks of class. We're going to have things like what you're watching right now, a video wrap up on YouTube from me, and the workshop exercises and section assignments. But this class is broken up into kind of two sections. There's three here, but there's the first 7 weeks and there's the last 8 weeks. And in the first 7 weeks, which we're entered now, we're going to be doing a set of number one here, all topic video lectures. And there's going to be 7 different topics, a tip for topic every week for the next 7 weeks. This week is form. And the topic will come with 3 pre-recorded videos from the past 2 years of our classes and topics, where different faculty members from across the different CD lineup will speak about the topic, will share their insights about that topic of the week, and also their work in how it reflects the topic that they're talking about. So that's a great thing. We're getting like all these other teachers giving us insight throughout the week. So I'll be watching those 3 videos each week, and then we'll be responding with an assignment that we post on a mural board, online board. And at the same time, while we're doing that, we'll be doing our first assignment series, which is going to be teaching us about the branding process by rebranding a existing global brand. And then on the last half of the semester, we'll be focusing solely on our independent project, and the project being the Design for Social Good rebrand, creating a brand that does social good and helps promote a cause. The part that you saw when you signed up for this class will be focused on in the last half of class. Okay, so I just went through all that, basically, the all topics workshop and the class project series being the first half of the week, and then the first half of the semester, and the last half of the semester being the independent project. And just the idea here of the way you should look at your schedule should be not that it's about the 2 class sessions we have, and then find time to do homework. If you find a way to kind of create a good rhythm into your schedule, if you commit yourself to an hour on Monday to watch the videos and do the assignments, and 3 hours for class, and then another hour on Wednesday for working on the assignments class as well, and then 2 hours on Friday, and then you got 2 more hours over the weekend or added to one of these other days. But basically you should be planning on 12 hours, 6 in class and 6 out of class. That should do it. But as I joked about in class, some 6-hour weeks will be shorter and other 6-hour weeks will be really long. So just kind of don't, see it as a rule of thumb. But of course, you should always make sure you work as much as you need to and plan your life around the fact that you're in school committed to making great projects, and you have a unique opportunity to make a great project together with me and your classmates. And don't squander that by not spending enough time on it. Spend the time you need. Take care of yourself, rest up, don't burn out, but spend the time, work hard as much as you can. We'll be using Canvas in our class to get your assignments. And I know, like, when I was making this video, I think I haven't checked recently, but we weren't fully up yet because of the signing up of classes late. But soon enough, everyone will have access to the Canvas and you'll get the assignments there. What I won't use Canvas for, though, is I won't use Canvas for submitting assignments. You can find the syllabus on Canvas, you can find the assignment itself on Canvas, and if you click on the assignment sheet, it'll always direct you to a Google Drive where I want all submissions for projects to go on this Google Drive, or on the mural board if it's a cross topics assignment. But our design projects will be all on the Google Drive. And I actually don't know how to find the ones on Canvas, so don't put it on Canvas, I won't see it. Slack is a form of communication, and email as well. So make sure you connect with our channel H-Chavez. And I'll be sending out communications there often. And sometimes if they're like urgent, like, hey, everybody, I'm stuck in the snow or whatever, like I'll do it through there. We'll be using not Miro, but we'll be using Mural, similar, but a little different for our boards. And then, like I'm doing right now, we'll be using YouTube videos or Zoom videos. We'll be using Zoom on class sessions where you're not in class or I'm not in class, or both. And we'll also be using Zoom to record our weekly wrap-ups and do some lectures and even some case studies. Like I may make a video like this and show you an example of a project that reflects what you're doing at the time, or even showing you a project from last year. This is exactly what you're doing, but from a different student and a different brand. We went over this already, and the last thing is to understand, no, there's not math in this class, but I want everyone to have a kind of a different way of looking at things in this class that is unique, but is also true. Like, I'm not here to promote like non-realistic ideas, but to promote ideas that are true, but in a different, meaningful way. So when it comes to math, 1 and +1 is obviously 2, but when it comes to design, 1 + 1, 2 ones together, it makes an 11. And that's very true and very real. And it just takes a little bit of shift in the way you look at the question being asked to you. And I want to have that kind of potential for you when you're looking at something. How can you shift your thinking to stay true and honest about your approach, but how can you find a different way of looking at something that's unique? That's where the aha moments come from. That's where the ideas come from. And that's what I want to work with each of you, try to get that moment where we think of something brilliant, but something obvious. Okay, so that's it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you guys on Tuesday with your first assignment, your first topics assignment done on the mural board, and with your 4 options on 1 sheet of paper or 1 screen ready to review in class. Thanks, everyone.